All set to go then for the 2025 Austrian Grand Prix weekend, live from the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, Austria. This amazing circuit has been home to some cracking Formula 3 races over the years, and hopefully this weekend will be no different. Sunshine and blue skies as the cars head out onto the circuit. I'm Joshua Birch alongside me in the commentary box. Tom Cairns on his way as well, once his PC issues have been sorted. Omi, here we go again then. Time to get going, and what a cracking venue to host as the halfway stage of the Formula 3 season.
Yeah, absolutely. As we now get ready to go into the second half. A very exciting circuit and a venue which invites overtaking. It's a short circuit, and of course these Formula 3 cars, it works very well, and we're looking forward to seeing this new generation out there as well on the circuit as well, to see how it all plays out, because we have 3 DRS zones, plenty of overtaking opportunities, and as usual we start the practice session with a virtual safety car test.
Yep, so the VSC goes out, and we'll hopefully have that sorted soon as well, as I just turn on my camera so that everyone in the box can see me.
Oh, hello.
Hello. I'm trying to get VSC, but it's not always working. Tom's here as well. Hello, Tom. If I click that button, then that should make it a little bit easier. Hello. So, on the circuit, Kamara leads on 105 points, Solov on 79, Tramnitz on 70. It's been an interesting couple of starts of the season, and welcome back, Tom. Hello, Tom, and we're all set, hopefully, for what's going to be a cracking weekend. Nice to have you back, my friend. Oh, I can't hear you. Hang on, there's a virtual safety car still out. We'll hopefully have him back in just a second. It's always a bit of a delay system once we get going again. Fingers crossed it'll be sorted in a moment.
Right, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Hello, Tom.
Hello, yes. Sorry, that would be my Discord settings not being in the right input device. But yeah, good to see you all here for round number 5 now. Is it round 5 of Formula 3 in 2025? I lost count with the numbers, you see.
I've lost count.
So, but yes, we are under virtual safety car conditions here at the Red Bull Ring, and Tim Tramnitz, the man who is in good form this season, going for another victory, the man part of the Red Bull Junior program. And talking which programs, we got the news of Mari Boyer being taken on in the Aston Martin Driver Academy, something of which that was launched earlier this week. Very nice to see Mari Boyer in the reins there. I don't suppose he's going to be in an Aston Martin livery campus though, because I haven't seen him out on circuit yet or in the pit lane.
I haven't either of me, but yeah, Mari Boyer up to the Aston Martin. A good drive, but we know how their last development driver went. He's still waiting in the wings. Felipe Drugovich, he's not yet got his seat.
Yeah, I feel like Mari Boyer could definitely use some of the support to try and land him some other good seats in motorsport, and to try and develop as a driver. I think there's a lot still to learn, and a long way still to go for Boyer, if anything is to come in Formula 1 or any hopes of that. He'll definitely need to be progressing to Formula 2 next year if that is to come his way. But yeah, great to see more and more drivers getting the opportunity to be backed by a Formula 1 team, and it is really, really good to see that he has got that opportunity, and he'll be working very closely and very well with Aston Martin for the weeks and months to come as they continue to guide him across this Formula 3 season, which is at round 6. And we're going to be going very quickly over the next few weekends, of course, as we reach the end at the Temple of Speed at Monza for the last time, of course, due to what we're going to have with Madrid taking over as the season finale from next year.
Yeah, how do you feel about that, Tom and Amy? Let's start with you, Tom. Madrid is the season finale. A bit of a weird one.
I'm not really sure where I stand with it, to be honest with you. I mean, we haven't been to the race itself over in Madrid, so
I've lost Tom again. I don't know if that's a me issue. Oh, I've been deafened. What's happened here? Someone's deafened me. There we go. I'm back now. Hello.
I had to undeafen you. I don't know what's going on.
Somebody deafened me. Someone's playing. Okay. Go on, Tom. Say that again.
can you hear me now this time?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Yeah, okay. With Madrid, I don't know where I stand with it, in all honesty. I mean, I do hope it does produce a season finale like we have done, like it has done over at Monza all these years. But, you know, it's just a major sort of revamp within the Formula 1 calendar, I suppose, and this is all about building for the future. And Formula 3 has just got to move along with the times, really. That's where I sit with it.
How do you feel, Omi, about it as well? Because you've been very worried about the red flag city we could be having with that turns 4, 5 and 6, similar to me, actually.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things you have to look at. Nothing Formula 3 can do about it. That's just the Formula 1 calendar placement. They have to follow it. And unfortunately, they have come out on a bad side to some degree, considering we've had an incredible Formula 3 Monza finale. It's kind of been a great connection, and it's kind of been something that it's always great. It's a festival of speed, one of the best weekends of the year. It's a perfect way to end it. But due to the calendar movement, F3 will just have to adapt. Same with probably Porsche Super Cup if they end up going there as well. Now, whatever the circuit's like, we haven't had a race there, so I won't comment on whether it will be a good finale, whether it will be a bad finale, or how that is all going to play out. As a circuit, we're going to discover that when we end up going there. But I think no matter how good it is, a Formula 3 finale at Monza always has been great. And it has a big void to fill, does Madrid. But I'm hoping it can still deliver to some degree, as we are going to be hopefully going there next year with some great title fights once more. So yeah, I'm hoping that Madrid is still going to be able to deliver no matter what all of the circumstances are.
So we'll keep on going. If you're wondering why, it's because it's not set up fully yet. Like, hello, let's see. I'm on a different setup at the moment. The box has not been sorted to how it is, so I just need to turn up some knobs on this end as well. As I'm just going to set up because MotoGP is on as well at 45. So I'm having to take everything out of the suitcase because the suitcase needs to be used, which means it's hard for me to move around right now and find out the information I need. But Signal is going to be a very interesting weekend as well, because this is, as Omi said before, this is the first time we've raced here with the new machinery, but this was always, Omi, the best venue to come to for a Formula 3 race. Close action, slipstream was best, and now they're going to go basically all-out war.
Yeah, and of course so far with what it's delivered across so many different circuits. So overall, quite the positive thing as well. And I'm really excited, and it's great across this entire season. We're getting to work out, we're getting to watch, and we're getting to see how it all works in Formula 3 with this new generation of cars across all the circuits. That's a great thing to look forward to. Every single week that we have of this calendar, of course, we are currently at round 6 at Austria, and then we head over to Spa, Budapest, and then we end our season on the 5th to 7th September at the Temple of Speed at Monza, which we've already mentioned a few times. So we will be done by the time F1 reaches round 16 of their campaign. So it's a really big movement to go from the old car to the new one. The first time in the category that it has happened, but every few years we do need to update the car to make it more like Formula 1, and so far it's been a positive change as well.
I couldn't agree more with it. I've been happy with the Formula 3 car of this season, which Dallara have designed. It has put on some brilliant racing, not to mention the Bahrain sprint race, which was just simply non-stop all the way through that. But it's proven to be a compelling championship so far, with one man leading the way by 26 points of that is Rafa Kamara over his nearest rival. That would be Nicholas Solov, and followed by Tim Tramnitz. We've got 2 Red Bull Junior drivers in the top 3 in the standings. And yeah, I'm just in an interview here with Nicholas Solov.
I don't think we've got JB to press the button as of yet. But Nicholas Solov speaking on, a driver who of course broke the record earlier on this season. as well in terms of overall wins, and he has a chance to continue to extend that. There's a great chance for Rafa Kamara to try and beat that record in this single season, but I think with Sullivan Tramnitz being repeat season sitters in terms of coming back here once again for another Formula 3 campaign, I think we expected those two to be strong. But Kamara's been the one who's blown everyone out of the park at the moment. He's just absolutely come in and dominated. He's had a first, of course, in Spain, also then, of course, winning the Bahrain feature race along with the Australian one, so he's won 3 feature races, so it's been great to watch, but he's been cursed to some degree when it's come to sprint racing action. So that's been going on for Kamara. He's one of the tridents. Noah Stromsted's also had a good season, but he's found himself finishing second on 2 occasions, and when he had a chance to win, Tom, it was all taken away from him, kind of like if we remember back to Spain, the sprint race we were doing there, a late issue costing him a chance to fight that day.
Yes, absolutely, and Stromsted needs some luck to go his way. There's not too long left in the season. We've already reached halfway point, 6, not 5, just to correct myself. And but yeah, it's good to see that Stromsted's been consistent. He has yet to win so far this season as the Dane. One talking point that has been over the course of the last 24 hours has been the weather over at the Red Bull Ring, because whilst it's been swelteringly hot over there, it had experienced some hailstorm. It had hailstorm over the Styrian Mountains, which I think the likes of Anthony Davidson and Bernie Collins proved to everyone with a big piece of hail that they found on the ground. That, you know, it was almost like 4 seasons over at the Red Bull Ring yesterday. So could we be in for any wet weather running over the course of the weekend? My guess is that we won't, but you never know.
So Lacorte, and now he's trying to talk to the board on a 1:25.165, as we see Stromsted currently second fastest as well. So that's my timing screen's wrong, and it's Johnson because the timing screen's not working right. Yeah. So that's always fantastic because Nicholas Lacorte's gone off, but if you look at timing 71, I haven't changed the number. I was wondering why I was getting a bit confused. I hate this system. And never use that timing screen ever, anybody watching. I wish Formula 1 would actually put it on an actual thing, because it pisses me off so much. Stromsted though in the Trident in the middle sector, looking stronger. And Pirelli bringing a new softer bit of a tyre compound here for the Formula 3 this weekend to promote a bit closer racing. We've had a couple of processional races over the past couple of rounds, especially in Barcelona. You, though, Omi, I think during one of the races said it was one of the best ever we've ever had in Formula 3, if I remember correctly.
Well, it was decent. I think Bahrain was the one where I also made those comments as well. Was one of the best that we had. It's been a bit of hit and miss with Formula 3 due to Rafa Kamara dominating. We're taking a look at his teammate heading down up the hill to turn number 1 of this circuit, standing on the power of the exit all over the road as well as he tried to stand on the power. You're going to be seeing quite a bit of that, and also near the end of the lap we've still got those gravel strips that are applied as well coming into this year, so that will be a challenge come qualifying later on.
Drivers heading out onto the circuit then, as we have 30 minutes to go. How's going on with my leads today? Honestly, this commentary box, you leave it for one weekend, it turns into an absolute pigsty. So Stromsted from Johnson, Solov puts it in P3, but he hasn't actually officially set a delta time. It's just he's been out there on the circuit. Drivers have completed at least 1 lap. Johnson's been 7, Stromsted with 5.
Yeah.
As they go across the weekend as well. Bit of rain coming over the mountains there. You just see the clouds starting to bubble. And Tom, one thing we do see at this place, you're mentioning about the possibility of rain throughout the weekend. If it does rain, it comes in very quickly. The radar can hardly pick it up.
Well, I'll have to keep an eye on the weather radar for the weekend because it's a microclimate over at the Styrian Mountains. You just don't know when the rain is going to hit. You can see how overcast it is over the mountains, and I'm not saying that it looks ominous because I don't think it is, but it can really hit the circuit any time we see that amount of cloud hanging over Spielberg, as we see Stromsted get held up by the Prema there through turn 2. I think that was Ugu. Was that Ugu? No, it was Noel Leon, wasn't it? That held Stromsted up as Stromsted locks up into turn 3. which won't have done those tyres too much good.
Yeah, we were talking a second ago about how they're a softer compound compared to the old ones, so it's just that tiny little bit that just can go wrong, and you don't want to waste a set of those this quickly in the weekend as well, as we hopefully get our systems working, because the delta times are all incorrect. So let's just shoot those around. Omi, out of interest, coming into this weekend, who are you looking for to go, yeah, they're going to be quick this one. They're going to be the ones we have to sort of watch out for, and the delta can change several times a minute here. Is there anybody that you have picked out as your pick of winners?
Well, you definitely have to put Kamara up there.
Yeah.
I think that is fair to say. He's absolutely up there. Feel like Stromstead, we've already discussed him a little bit, but I feel like he could try fight back a little bit. The one, of course, I'm really excited to see how he just gets on in general is Nikita Johnson, which we haven't touched on it yet, but he's, of course, making his debut this weekend in the FIA Formula 3 Championship as well. The driver has been on the podium twice so far this season in GB3 as well, so it's going to be interesting to see how he gets on. Of course, he replaces Corte, who was given a race ban, and he basically managed to rack up 18 penalty points, so when he comes back he'll have 6 on his license as well at the next round at Silverstone in a week's time.
Yeah, Nicolas Corte in Monaco. How many did he got? Was it like he got the entire 12 in Monaco? It was impossible how many he just racked up over the weekend, and then he got furthers in Barcelona. I think Sky put together a little video. If you've got time, go onto their socials and watch it. It was absolutely hilarious. But we all know that Max Verstappen is still 1 point away from a race ban. Those first of those 2 penalty points do go after this weekend, though, Tom. And we'll get onto that more in practice, because Max has seemed a little bit more spoiled brat over the last couple of weeks, hasn't he? Especially in the press conference yesterday. Max's attitude is sort of slowly getting worse and worse and worse. Is that a combination of he's not fighting for the World Championship this year, he's in a team that's sort of self-destructing around him, or has Max just had enough?
It could be a combination of things. I haven't seen the press conference with Max in there, but he just needs to be on his toes this weekend. I mean, the last thing he wants is a race ban, which, you know, would be the British Grand Prix next weekend that he would have to sit out for. And he's not realistically in the championship fight, let's be honest, because yes, McLaren did have an off weekend in Canada, but that's kind of like the anomaly to what we've seen from McLaren over the course of the year. I do expect McLaren to bounce back this weekend on a track where they do go better at compared to most circuits. But as for Max, I think he just needs to maybe look at himself in the mirror and think to himself, right, where do I go from here? Because we don't have the fastest car. We will only do well on circuits that we know we're good at winning at. I mean, they've won at Suzuka, they've won at Imola, but they're not going to win enough races to win the championship, I don't think, Red Bull. So I think Max has just got to sort of use this year as more of a consolidation year where he can sort of look to 2026 hoping that the new regulations can play into Red Bull's favour, or maybe his. I mean, there's a rumour also about him being linked with Aston Martin. I don't know how genuine is that. Would he benefit from going to Aston Martin and reuniting with Adrian Newey? I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think there's so many questions which Max has got to answer himself and think, right, what do I really need here? Because he wants to compete in the World Endurance Championship. I think we all know that he wants to do that. It's just, how long is he willing to stick around in Formula 1 before he decides to make that move?
Yes, and I think he's got that Franz Hermann job, hasn't he, as well? And he's been testing a couple of laps of the Nürburgring. He wanted to consider doing one of the 24-hour races. They've all clashed with Formula 1 weekends, bar last. Got a yellow flag, and now a red flag has come out onto the circuit. Session is now suspended, and it's the beached one car in the pits.
Brando.
Yeah, and well, to be fair, we know that Badoa has not adapted 100% coming through, but yeah, look at Bremen. They kind of know what was coming there. It's like, what have you done? So that looks like it's down at Sochless Gold. So It's the exit 4. No, hang on a minute. How's he done that? Yeah, it's down at the Woods curve. How on earth has he done that? You can't really snap the car wrong on that section of the circuit. I'd be very interested to know then on a replay if he's just like mid-corner the front snapped around on him. But yeah, but yeah, not great there. Go on, Harry.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonder if he's just driven that wide in the gravel and then lost it that way as well. So many possibilities. But yeah, we were discussing at the end of Spain, myself and Tom were discussing, because Bedoya was involved in more contact there, about how it's every single week that he's involved in some sort of contact. So it's not going his way this season. Yeah, he's not adapting quite well at the moment. There is lots of incidents, lots of moments of him in the barriers, off in the gravel. Yeah. And yeah, it's not what Prema wanted. They're 10th in the standings, and there's a reason why to that.
That asks more questions than answers, because he was further on the other side of the gravel chat when he's gone around. How he was closer to the barrier on the right. You can't. What? I am utterly confused at how he's done that. As we see a replay down up at turn 3 at Remus. Several drivers going wide and off the track there as well, actually. So brakes were not fully up to temperature. Yeah, straight off. Yeah, both of them actually going off straight down there. There's other 2 teammates. So, red flags out for Bedoya going the wall. Again, Tom, is Bedoya ready for Formula 3?
It's a difficult one to answer. I'd love to look through his CV to give you a substantial answer to that. I mean, he's yet to score a point so far this season, has Brando Bedoya, which is a bit of a shame. But looking at his previous CV, he has been competing. He competed in the Formula Regional Middle East Championship earlier this year, which he was 4th in the standings with a race win to his name. I'm looking where he competed in 2024. He competed in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, where he ended up finishing 5th in the standings. I would probably say he is ready, but was going to Prema the right thing for him?
Probably not, was it? Prema, all the teams have been struggling, especially with the regulation changes. Okay, well, go on very quick, because I need to hand over to the bar feed.
Yeah, I was covering the FECA round, of course, at the end of last year, so I, of course, watched him in that round, and yeah, it seemed like he was doing quite well there, so it's quite surprising to what's happening here.
Okay, let's head down to Chris McCarthy, as we're under the red flag.
On 20.20. I think we're going to be somewhere around the 22s based on the track conditions this weekend, maybe the 21s if it ramps up towards qualifying. Of course, we've got sessions in F2 and F1 between this F3 practice and then F3 qualifying later on today. But I think Johnson will be fairly happy with that 24/7 being a second away from Stromstead in his first run in the cars, because that run or that lap that he did was not would not have been where the tyres were at their best. So he'll be happy with that. And we're going to see faster lap times for pretty much all the other drivers later on in this session.
Well, Tim Tramnitz, he'll consider this somewhat of a home race, being a Red Bull Junior. We've had 5 of them win before. Can he be the next to do it? Let's hear what he had to say about the Red Bull Ring circuit.
I've always liked this place. Also, it's kind of my home race. Everyone here speaks German, so you feel a bit home. So yeah, I'm just very motivated, and of course, as a Red Bull driver, you always want to perform very well on this track. The last sector is my favorite one on track. Like the last corner feels just so satisfying if you are on the limit. But also turn 3, hard braking zone, it's always a good overtaking opportunity in the race. And you can also play a bit with the DRS, which makes it interesting. So yeah, overall for the races, I would say the DRS management is quite important, and tires, as always.
So let's see what Tim Tramnitz can do. As he mentioned, calling this a home race, and I think fans would definitely be cheering if they were to see a Red Bull car come home. But all the fans, I think they do love the Formula 3 race. We see them pack the grandstands for this. Oh dear. Now, Noel Leon. Oh dear. Well, let's see what's happening here. The Prema Racing car seems to be having overheating problems, and the Prema Racing team quickly getting to work to try and extinguish that car. We've got the marshals seeing to it.
not an ideal situation.
No,
for these,
not at all.
Especially for the Premier team.
That quickly became a safety issue there. Now, it seems to have been seen to very quickly. All the team running over.
Yeah,
overheating problems on the car for Noel Leon.
We were just discussing, weren't we, Prema having a tough time this season, and then Badoer goes off, and now Noel Leon has got a small fire at in the engine bay. I think it looks like the fire has been extinguished. It'll be interesting to see if they let that car back out on the circuit. Of course, the team's marshals and the FIA will make sure that is in a safe situation. You can see the third of the Prema cars there. They're all black this weekend. Number 3 of Ugochukwu. He is the third Prema car. Be looking to build on his season so far. Best results for all 3 of the Prema drivers was in the Imola feature race. Imola sprint races. So Imola was good for them. Hopefully they'll be able to replicate the form they had here last year.
Yeah, well, here it comes to field now. Ugochukwu is on his way, as you mentioned. But it's just a real shame. Badoer off Noel Leon's car. Overheating problems, and they still seem to be investigating exactly what has caused that and just seeing to the issue. But meanwhile, we go green at the end of the pit lane, and that means everyone else can take to the circuit. 18.5 minutes left in this Formula 3 practice session, and that gives the rest of the field a chance to get up to speed. What happened before? Well, we had about 3 respective lap times, and one of them was from the car that you currently see there with the engine cover off. Noel Leon got a lap time in, but whether we will see him back out on the circuit is yet to be seen. They are currently investigating what is going on, and we hope there are no further issues for Noel Leon.
Team still investigating.
Well, yeah.
Of course, safety is always the priority. We want to go racing, but these drivers, these are racing machines, and they're traveling at high speed. So everyone, the team and everyone around will make sure that car is absolutely safe and sound to go. We come back to the drivers on circuit. You can see everyone just building up their Pirelli tyres, getting them into a working window before going. Worth noting, I had a look at the race director's instructions ahead of this weekend. In qualifying, is that the car stopping?
Well, yes, that is. Now, is that one of the Campos cars that's come to us? Stop, no, it's JRG, it's the high-tech car. Oh,
the universal signal for no, it's not working.
Yeah, exactly, it's gone off.
So that could be potentially either yellow flag or another stoppage if he can't get, because the issue here is he's such a steep incline there, he can't get out of the car until someone else is there, because as soon as he stands up, you see the car starts rolling back, because we saw that a few years ago when Carlos Sainz had the fire down and towards turn number 4, and the car kept rolling away. Similar position here, there's no handbrake in these single seaters.
Precisely that. So he cannot, as you mentioned, jump out of that car. It is so steep, the elevation around here. It's one of those things, until you've been to the circuit, you just cannot appreciate the elevation.
Judge Shi is out. Somehow managed to... Oh, he's left it in gear. Good man.
He's left it in gear.
Good man.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, let's have a look at what happened there. I mean, we were actually watching this when it happened. He just pulled off the circuit. So either a warning on the dashboard, or I say the dashboard, there's no dashboard in these, warning on the steering wheel, or the car just cut out. Unfortunate for Gerard Shi, he's not had the best season so far. Would have liked to have been had a stronger season so far. His not been ideal for him. Only his best result was at the first race of the season, 16th place in the sprint race in Melbourne, and not been able to best that since, which is, for a driver of Gerard's speed, is unlikely. You can see just telling that the marshals that he did leave it in gear.
So now it's Gerard G is trying to help the marshals here get the car retrieved, and the stewards, the race direction, have tried to leave the session going, not red flag it by keeping a virtual safety car so the cars can remain on track. But that's a very steep hill to try and get that car up.
Yeah.
So virtual safety car deployed. Just had to deal with an issue, by the way. If you are expecting our MotoGP coverage to start on time on JB Motorsports 2, it will not. Session delayed due to track conditions. The Moto 2 practice session, scheduled for 40 minutes in length, hasn't even started yet, and that is because there is oil on the circuit and it is a wet track. So they have, for safety reasons, had to bring the fire crew into the pit lane in order to get things sorted. So there is a delay to proceedings. We've now got a red flag. So we've got another red flag, so session suspended again. And Omi, this is just getting worse and worse and worse, really, isn't it? Because we keep getting the stop-start nature. No, Leon's got out of the car, so he's lost 15 seconds of time. I now can't hear Omi.
Oh, hello. Sorry, my mic was muted. Yeah, Leon gets out of the car, and he's of course been experiencing those some overheating at the back with those issues. Garachi will hopefully get recovered, but Ugo Gachukwu, he's got basically a carbon car, so I wonder what's going on with that. So all Premers, I'm just confused what's going on right now. Ugo Gachukwu, I've seen, has got a carbon, full carbon livery right now.
What I said on talkback, Omi, was I'm off to do MotoGP to set it up under the red flag because we had the time.
Right.
And then when we logged in, we found out that the session hadn't even started yet. We knew the session was delayed for track limits. I mean, for track conditions. We didn't know that it was properly stopped. So then, Tom, it's been a disruption for F3, but this is a track they should know well. So it's not really too much of an issue.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, the fact is, they've only got, like, 4 sets of soft tyres over the course of the weekend, so they've got to be frugal with these tyres over the course of practice qualifying and the 2 races we've got. They've got the sprint race on the Saturday and the feature race on the Sunday morning before the Grand Prix. It's going to be one hectic weekend, I think, for these F3 drivers. They know the circuit from the back of their own hands, from their previous formulas, whether that be Formula Regional or F4. It's a circuit they know well, but they haven't done. I can't remember whether they did any form of testing around here. Some of these with the Delar. Yeah, but it's a circuit they know well either way. It's a brilliant old school track, is the Red Bull Ring, and long may it stay in the future. And you can see the cars heading back into the pit lanes. The second red flag stoppage of this F3 practice session, round 6 of the 2025 season. It's the 7th edition of FIA Formula 3 since its inception in 2019, taking over what was the GP3 series. And then we see all the Trident drivers, Charlie Verts, Noah Stromstead, and the championship leader, Rafa Kamara, all being pushed back by their crew.
So, just having a quick update as well. Fluid contamination on a wet track, and it's all around the circuit in MotoGP, by the way. That's why we have a delay there. And it's been caused by a rider crashing and remounting and dropping all over the circuit. They learn nothing again and again. So our coverage of that...
Moto3?
Yeah, Moto3 rider.
Alright.
So yeah. Also, Yamaha have got a special livery this weekend as well. The Japanese flag has been put onto the bike. Let's hear it for some people.
Yeah, went straight away to training camp with Ferrari. Yeah, it has been fun. A bit tired, to be honest, because it was after triple header. I think everyone was a bit tired after Barcelona. But yeah, after we had some time to relax, let's say, gain back the battery, and yeah, be here for Red Bull Ring.
Can I send down to Chris? Session will resume at 10:30.
For Rafa Kamara, how important is that for drivers to go off? You meant from your experience racing at Formula 3, how important is it to go through training camps like that with drivers at your level, especially as well, to push each other off the track as well as on the track?
I think there's 3 things with the break that we've had in the training camps. The first is, of course, you're getting some physical training in. We touched on that a moment ago, as we see another adrenaline junkie out there. It's not just the F3 drivers that are searching for some thrills on circuit. We've got some. Wow, that is.
I think we mic you up, Piers, and we send you on that.
You can go first, mate. You can go first. But anyway, I was talking about 3 things.
Like they're not at the circuit. That's they're in Biggin Hill. They're not at the circuit.
They can drive these cars to the absolute limit without their physicality being the limiting factor. Number 2, we've heard from Rafa Kamara there. There's also been some time for them to genuinely switch off, cool down, and just get away from the racing season so they can hit it mentally refreshed.
You know what you were saying, by the way, mate, about Tom, about last weekend, about the smell of fish in Grimsby. And I said, well, you don't really smell it that much.
Yeah.
Very strong smell of fish coming through the commentary box this morning. Like, it's weird.
Really?
Very strong, very strong. I know we live near a lake, but I'm not entirely sure why, or a river, I should say. But yeah, very strong smell this morning. Green flag's back out there with 10 minutes to go. So that's not going to be too bad. From what I understand, we might be cancelling the Moto 2 and running that during the lunch break. So the whole day is going to get reorganised. If you're waiting for our coverage of MotoGP, stay tuned on. That will be broadcast live on JBMotorsports 2. And then over the weekend as well, we're getting all the channels sorted back up as well with the premiere of those stuff from last weekend. Another factor to remember as well is that Wimbledon will be starting next week. And that will be on JBSportsXtra, as we'll team up with USRN, getting it all set for that one as well. A couple of games set to court. And as well, the final's going to be a lot of fun. Plus, we're seeing as well if we can cover a couple of the Women's Euros UEFA Championship events as well. We'll see what we can get hold of. Ahead of more plans in the future for the channels as well. Back out we go then. Naomi as well, Bob with Solov as well. Currently running. Well, he was second fastest earlier on the session. Now I'm trying to find out where he's dropped down to.
It's in P8.
P8, yeah, 1:38.348, 14 seconds off. So he's one of these who have yet to get a proper run lap time in because the red flags keep coming out. It's a 45-minute session. The first 15 minutes of each Formula 3 and Formula 2 practice are classified as track acclimatization. And then from 30 minutes onwards, you are free to do what you like. A little rule that was introduced a couple of years ago after drivers refused to go out onto the track in the, well, what was it, about, with 35 minutes, wasn't it, of the 45-minute session. They all just sat in the pit lane in Bahrain a couple of years ago. So they said, no, you've got to go out in the first 15 minutes, do a track acclimatization, test the virtual safety car, and then for 30 minutes onwards, you can do what you like. So at least it guarantees 15 minutes of on-track action for the fans. And at the end of the day, Tom, it is all about the fans, isn't it? That's why we're here. There's a couple of die-hard Red Bull fans, and especially Max Verstappen fans who turn up this weekend at this very grandstand coming through the Vosges curve.
Yeah, well, they're paying their money's worth to see some racing. And we are seeing some action on circuit with Formula 3. Part of the support bill with Formula 2 and the Porsche Super Cup, they'll also be competing. Me and Omi will be on hands for that as the weekend progresses. And meanwhile, we are seeing Solov head over the line, post what should be the fastest time of the session so far. Tappanen went fastest, Solov goes fastest. Well, another yellow flag around the racetrack. We don't know what's happened. We'll find out in a moment who has had a bit of a moment. Well, I can see that Solov has completely oversteered over that yellow curb, and that's the AIX Racing car, Brad Benavides in the gravel.
And it's a bit another red flag, Omi, won't it? And he's gone off down at Sochless Gold, and here's the red flag now. F3, we've got no idea what's going to happen going into qualifying. We're going to lose more time here, possibly a session not even resumed. And 3 red flags in one practice is not best look for these guys, is it?
Oh yeah, and I'm the one who's actually calling qualifying while you go to MotoGP, so that's going to be quite interesting to see what these drivers get on with that one. But 3 red flags, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe the drivers have to get their runs and lap times in early, because the session might be, the session might be stopped early on, because of course we are on a schedule and we have to let Formula 2 run straight after as well. So yeah, these drivers are going to have to behave themselves in quali.
Bear in mind, that's the only event this weekend where there's a direct clash. There's like the end of the Formula 2 races, if it runs to the full distance of the time, that clashes. But in realistic, the only clash this weekend is practice going through it as well. Okay, Simon Patterson has just put it to his dad saying everything normal and under control here. You've got, it's just utter chaos down there and he's been allowed into the pit lane. So just to remind you, the MotoGP practice session was supposed to start in 10 minutes' time. We haven't even started Moto2 yet. As we take a look at how Bradley and Divas went off. So this starts at turn 3. He lost the rear on entry into Remus, and then presumably it's something with the brakes, Tom, and he's going to go straight off down that 4.
Yeah, and he's gone well suited. And the gravel doing its job to hold the car in there. And yeah, Benavides not able to get out of there, unfortunately. So it looks like the session's not going to resume because they will need to put a recovery vehicle out to crate away Benavides' car. And only 14 drivers have posted representative lap times. Go on, JB.
Was that a Hail Mary or something you just did there as well? It looked like he was like...
It looked like some form of ritual, wasn't it?
I was quite surprised by that. Oh, okay. That's not exactly... I was searching through Twitter to see some information from Formula 3 and MotoGP, but I've come across Ratatouille 2 is in production by Disney. So if anyone likes Ratatouille 2 is coming through. Yeah, Omi, how ridiculous does this now look as well for the F3 drivers? I mean, that was such a simple mistake to come through. I'm hoping there's a car failure because the amount of issues we've seen this morning is quite embarrassing.
Yeah, it is quite embarrassing indeed, as they're coming into play as well. So definitely quite fascinating to see how it's all playing out, but loads of drivers having issues, and I think that will translate into the weekend. Austria Formula 3 races usually do result in plenty of chaos and drama, and I think that is going to be the theme across this weekend, as we've already seen from practice as well in Formula 2. It will be interesting to see how they get on in a couple of moments' time, as they will also get ready to get going, and they will approach, of course, the halfway mark of their 2025 season.
Okay, so interesting enough, according to the FIA penalty guidelines that were released yesterday, Max Verstappen would have received an extra point in his super license and consequently a race ban had his collision with George Russell in Spain been seen as deliberate or reckless acts. The stewards in Barcelona deemed that Verstappen had caused a collision with no immediate and obvious sporting consequence, meaning that 3 points were added to his super license instead of 4. They banned Formula 3 drivers, Tom, but they're very lenient on banning Formula 1 drivers. That needs to be changed, doesn't it?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. But you know, Max is a lucky man as he is, and he's going into this weekend knowing he's got to keep his nose clean. But you can see that Benavides' car has been cleared, but I don't think they're gonna have. Are they gonna have any time? Are they gonna restart the session with 2 minutes to go?
They've got to do a practice.
It's probably worth it, isn't it?
Yeah. Got to do a practice. They won't get around in time to do a lap, will they, Omi? It'll have to be a standing start only.
Yeah, the green flags are flying, so we are going to go back out there onto the circuit with this Formula 3 session, and everyone will leave the pit lane immediately.
Oh, down there as well. That's the VAR's not exactly following the procedure down there, were they, as well? That was a bit of a jump, and there was one of those ones in front of them as well. Coming through from AIX, so they've got to get into the proceedings. Like, you can't jump the pit lane queue. There's the cloud I told you about earlier on that can just form. There's now dark clouds above turn 3. 1 minute 30 to go. Anyone who leaves the pit lane now will not get a lap time in. So it's a 1 minute 22 at best. Outlaps here tend to be around about the 1 minute 40s. So this is now all about practice starts, nothing more, just practice starts. Well,
those...
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, well, those who were at the head of the queue as they went out of the pit lane, they may just get round to get a lap in.
Yeah.
You may just see a few drivers posting lap times in, even though it doesn't really mean anything as far as the session is concerned. I think the blessing for a lot of these drivers is that given the red flags, they'll preserve some life in those tyres, of which they may need later on in the weekend.
We're speaking about divine intervention. There's the small chapel that is at the side of the circuit here. Apparently Moto2 bikes being warmed up, so that delay is going to delay the MotoGP practice, so that means I will be with you for practice of Formula 2, which is not bad. Pit lanes involving Johnson noted front safe release. Yeah, I thought it would be. Because of how the exit was. It was too on the nose. in many regards. But Johnson's doing well, actually. He's up in 14th position. Coming in, as Omi said earlier on, Tom, as a complete rookie. It's actually quite impressive as we've got 5 seconds left on the board. 3, 2, 1. Red flag noted for Santiago Ramos. As now across the line, we've got our time sorted. So, yeah, several of them already take the checker flag. Johnson cleared as they come through.
Yeah. And I think with the red flag infringement for Ramos, that's probably for going a little bit too fast or too slow. There is a delta which the drivers have to adhere to once the red flag comes out, something which I think Ollie Behrman got into trouble for early in the season for overtaking under the red flags, and Yuki Tsunoda likewise in Canada.
Yeah.
I think it was Canada, or yeah, I think it was Canada where Tsunoda got penalised for. So drivers just need to be on the lookout. This is Rafa Kamara, who is on a lap. I did say a few drivers would be on a flying lap at the end of the session. Kamara is one of them. He's heading through turns 7 and 8 now. He may just make the most of the toe ahead of him before he heads over the line. It is Solov who's fastest, but will it be Solov by the time this session is over? They're all heading over the line, and it is Solov that's fastest ahead of Tappan and Boyer Wharton. But what about Kamara? He goes up to P2.
Kamara then as well. Solov still got the fastest time. Callum Vosin moves up inside to 11th. Charlie Vert still top. And I think that's everybody across the line for the flag. So it's Nikita Solov, 1:22.015, who ends the session. But not everybody got a fastest lap time in there, which means it's going to be very difficult, Omi, when we go green for qualifying to know what the running order is.
Yeah, so it's all going to be decided and all going to be had in qualifying later, which is usually the Formula 3 typical way. I think it is fair to say, however, we find out everything in that qualifying session, and when we leave practice, we don't usually have a clue of what is going to happen later on. But it's going to be interesting, and I think it would be great to have a bit of a fight and to see Solov in the mix this weekend as well in contention.
Moto 2 first practice is going to start in 8 minutes time, so MotoGP is at least going to be an hour delayed as a heads up, so I could probably call half the F2 and then hand it over to Omi and to Tom, and then dive off and cover that, and then quickly run around like a headless chicken and have no lunch break. Isn't that good for somebody who is absolutely tired and desperately wants a holiday? Yeah, that's definitely something. Right, let's have a look at Marin Gelli out of the last corner. Oh, and just puts the rear tyre on the gravel that's put there for track limits, and it drags you wide. That's going to cause an accident at some point this weekend. I can see it coming. Just such a simple whoop around. Flags out. Not bad. What have you made of the session, Tom?
We hadn't really taken enough from, have we? But we have seen drivers make mistakes early on. I'm really intrigued to see how much they are prepared to take the risk when doing their flying laps, because track limits has been a big issue around this track. We've seen drivers put a wheel over the white line, but that's why they put those strips of gravel in there to help alleviate track limits, of which have played a role in qualifying sessions, race results. Even like post-session, we have to wait another 10 to 15 minutes for the track limit violations to come through, and lap times being deleted, which affect the grid order for the coming races. So I think with this new machine as well for Formula 3 this season, I really cannot wait to see how these drivers get on around here, because I think we're going to be in for an unpredictable qualifying session.
Just an update on the Moto 2. It's been reduced to 35 minutes in length, and the MotoGP will then start 10 minutes later. So MotoGP estimated start time would be around about 10:35 British summer time. As a heads up. Onto the grid though, Omi, for the practice starts, and this is critical because we haven't had a chance of Formula 3 to actually get some practice starts. Quite a lot of their time at the end of the sessions have been in red flags.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is really great to be able to see them getting this practice start, and they will definitely need that come the races, the sprint contest, and then the feature race. Our qualifying later will set the grid for both contests this weekend. We'll reverse, of course, the top 12 for the sprint, and then they start how they qualify for the feature on Grand Prix Sunday.
Just confirmed, by the way, MotoGP will now start at 10:35 British Summer Time. That's 11:35 Central European Time. So if you're watching on JB Motorsports 2, that will be updated. But, Omi, looking at that wet weather, it could be a very wet FP2, practice 2 for Formula 2 coming up in a second, because that is rolling in fast. And we did have a high chance of rain here for today.
Yeah, today is the day where if it is going to rain, it's most likely to. And those clouds look a little bit threatening to our lovely Styrian Hill mountains at the moment. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to play out. But Formula 2 will be hoping for a bit of dry running in, considering we're not expecting any rain come the sessions later on and tomorrow on Sunday.
So what time does Formula 2 finish? Starts at 45. Yeah. Oh, it's so complicated.
It ends at 10:50. It starts at 10:05.
Okay. So yeah, we might just be okay. Let's go to Chris McCart. In fact, Amy, go on, take us through the results.
Well, here we are then. The results at the end of practice. Nikola Solov ends quickest by a 10.5 as well over Rafa Kamara. Noah Stormstead in third, and then it's Tappinen, Boya, Ugo Igachukwu in 6th place, and then it's Wharton, into Pruvzak, Lawrence Van Hoopen, and the Austrian driver Charlie Words in his home race finishes in 10th position as that wraps up our first page, and it's Callum Woyden in 11th, and then it's Zagazeta in 12th. Bilinski is in 13th, and then it's Headley, Sharp, Niall, Leon, Marin Angeli, Nikita Johnson on debut. He finishes his first Formula 3 practice in 19th place, and then we've got Tim Tramnitz, the Red Bull Junior, finishing in 20th. He was a driver who was contending earlier on near the top, and then it's Christian Ho. We have GSD in 22nd, Bruno Del Pino in 23rd, Stenshorn, Carrasquedo, Dominguez, Ramos, Benavides, Badoa, who of course brought out the red flag earlier on, and same applies to Garaji, who has no time at the end of this Formula 3 practice session.
Well, my thanks to Tom, my thanks to Omi, and all of you at home. We will be back in around about 15 minutes time for all of the action from the from the Formula 2 session, MotoGP, if you're watching on JB Motorsports. That has been changed, and we will be back later on for all of the action for that at 10:35. Slight changes to the day. We hope you understand. We'll see you later. Take care. Bye-bye.